Are the Steelers actually not too far off from winning the ultimate prize? And the Steelers quarterback talk is really heating up, and for good reason. Big Deke news. Are the Steelers closer than we think? We didn't look as bad as the Chiefs when we played the Eagles, so there you go, right? If it wasn't for the Najee drop toss, maybe it's a tie game in the fourth quarter at Philly, which is a way better showing than what the Chiefs put on display last night. So it's fair to say we played the Super Bowl champions tougher than the best team in the AFC. And then if you look at how the Eagles defeated the Chiefs, who are the best team in the AFC, from a defensive standpoint, it's a lot of what the Steelers like to do. Don't blitz, only send four, and have those guys win. Have them wreak havoc for the quarterback while maintaining extra guys to help in coverage. Are we not too far off? Are we kind of there? There's only some slight problems with that conclusion, though. We actually have to be competitive against some of these teams in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl, like the Chiefs and the Ravens, because the times that we played them at the end of last year, we weren't even competitive. And then that whole non-blitzing approach with the pass rush, like those guys actually have to get home. They actually have to win. They have to actually do what they're getting paid to do, which they weren't for the last portion of the season. And don't forget, we need a quarterback. We still need a quarterback. So once all that's taken care of, once we can actually be competitive against teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens, and we got our four-man front getting home and winning like they used to, like I remember them doing. And then once we also get a quarterback that can deliver some elite play, we're back. I think we could say we're back then once that's all taken care of. But speaking of quarterbacks, former Steelers quarterback, Kenny Pickett, won a Super Bowl yesterday. He's officially undefeated against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He has more Super Bowl rings than Dan Marino, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, etc., etc. Who cares? So does Chad Henne. This ring don't count for Kenny's legacy or proves that he made the right decision to get out of here. The only way we'll find that out is if he becomes a starter again, because winning a Super Bowl and competing as a starter is light years different than being a backup and winning. It's not even in the same stratosphere. You're not even having a real conversation between the two. So until then, we won't really know who won that divorce between Kenny and the Steelers. But what about instead of staying divorced, getting back together, a reunion? Steelers are still looking for a quarterback. We have some vacancies at the position outside of signing Skylar Thompson a month ago. We still need some quarterbacks here. KP8 now knows the secrets to defeating Mahomes. He could bring some of that championship moxie back to the Steelers locker room, almost like LeBron leaving Cleveland. Whenever he left the Cavs for Miami, he got his rings, brought all that knowledge back on how to win a championship back to Cleveland, and won one for his original team.
Y'all know that ain't happening.
Okay, but how about some more realistic quarterback options? Let's talk about the guys in-house first. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. All signs are pointing towards Fields now, because more reports are coming out backing the initial Jay Glazer report that said Russ is done in the Steel City. The Steelers have no plans on re-signing him.
That one's over. Do you think it's more likely Russ goes back to the Steelers? Because the ending there was also a little weird, too. So just a new start for Russ.
I think you'll see a new start for Russell somewhere else.
Okay, Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll moved on, Sean Payton moved on, Jay Glazer came out and said Mike Tomlin's going to move on. Yeah. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing. Those conversations they started to happen at the end of their season. They decided, all right, we're going to probably most likely stick with Justin Fields here moving forward.
So Fields was like the front runner, which I'm 100% good with. You guys know what my energy's been this offseason, and the quarterback decision I think the Steelers need to take, if you're talking about between Fields and Russ, it's Fields. You have to go with Fields. But with Fields being technically on the open market and supposedly other teams showing him interest, we would be stupid not to look at some other options and keep our options open. Because there's a couple all-time quarterbacks that may be available, like an Aaron Rodgers and even a Matt Stafford. The Matt Stafford one's coming out of nowhere, but apparently he's not loving how the Rams are handling getting rid of Cooper Kupp. And his wife said as much, and we'll get into that later. But I'll start off with Rodgers. I get no one wants Rodgers here, but why are we so against it? It's my question. Why do you think we should be so above bringing in Aaron Rodgers? Did we not see what the Steelers' offense looked like in those last 5 or 6 games of the 2024 season? The drama he can bring, I can't excuse that. That would be one of the trade-offs that you would have to accept potentially. I can't excuse that. That's one of the downsides. It is what it is. I don't like it either. But if you're going to get some semblance of Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, which he showed he was capable of in like the last 10 or 11 games of 2024, it's worth the chance. I'm not saying definitively you pick him over Fields, because I think Fields is still a great option. But my God, Aaron Rodgers is worth a look. You have to consider it. You'd be stupid not to. He'll be another year removed from the Achilles, so healthier. He'll be more pissed off than ever, more motivated. That the Jets, the lowly Jets, said, Aaron Rodgers, you're not good enough for us anymore. You mean to tell me he's not going to be more motivated than ever? The dude has a huge chip on his shoulder ever since he got into the league. Ever since he was at Cal, like all the way back in the day. If you ever read his book, the dude has had a chip on his shoulder playing football his whole life. But now, he'll be more pissed off, more motivated than ever. The Jets think he's done. Come on, man. He's not going to cost a crazy amount either, given his age and where he's at in his career. I'm thinking only $20, $25 million. He could still make every throw in the book. You look back at what happened with Brady at the late stage of his career. All the pundits thought he was done. He was washed at the end of New England. But anyone with eyes, anyone that knows ball could see that he like Rodgers, could still make every throw in the book. He was 40, I think he was 41 or 42 at the time. And then he goes on to Tampa. Better situation there, better receivers, better weapons, better defense, all that. You put an all-timer in a better situation with a good offensive line, better weapons, and all that. You saw what happened with Brady. Super Bowl leading the league in passing. I think he finished second in MVP for 1 or 2 of those years too. Rodgers, who is another all-time great, who keeps himself in good shape, keeps himself healthy, wants to play through his early 40s here. Obviously he's going to be motivated as ever here too, with the Jets moving off of him. And it's fair to question, do the Steelers have as good of a situation as what the Buccaneers did back in the day? That's fair to question, for sure. But on paper, outside of Roger Jones, our line actually should be good next year. We got the cap space. We should add another receiver across from Pickens, maybe another receiver or 2. We have all the capabilities to get more explosive at the running back position. On paper, our defense still has all those names. So, it's at least a better situation than what Rodgers was dealing with over in New York. So, we'd be stupid not to consider it. These are my 3 options, though. If we go any other direction, I'm not going to be happy. But it's Fields, it's Rodgers, it's Stafford. I think those are the 3 names that give us a legit chance to have elite quarterback play next year. Fields hasn't proven it. He needs to develop, but we saw the flashes. We see the talent with him. You wonder, another year under his belt, same system, same coordinator, all that stuff, if he'd be able to put it together for 17 games. I'm telling you, I keep watching that Eagles offense and seeing Jalen Hurts. I don't see why Justin Fields can't do what Jalen Hurts is doing. Now, we got to get more weapons. We got to get better pieces around him. We got to get better pieces around Fields here in Pittsburgh, like Hurts has with the Eagles. But I see the path, though. I see how it could work like that here in Pittsburgh with Fields, like it is with Hurts in Philly. And then with Rodgers, obviously it's Aaron Rodgers. You're just taking a chance that he could become Aaron Rodgers again. And then Stafford, he proved last year that he could still play at a top 6 or 7 level. He's still elite. He was one play away from beating the Eagles on the road in the snow. Come on. I mean, he balled out in that. That was the divisional game against the Eagles. He balled out. Like outside of the top 4 or 5, your top 4, your definitive top 5 now has to be Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson, Allen, and Hurts, in whatever order you want to put them in. That's got to be the definitive top 5. After that, it's Stafford 6. There's no doubt about it. Stafford's in the top 6. So he's proven that he can still play quarterback like that. And as I mentioned, his wife said on a podcast she's not the biggest fan with how the Rams are handling things on their roster. I'm sure Matt feels a similar way in that they're open to moving on somewhere else. They're open to not playing for the Rams next year if it means playing for a contender.
Hell, why not? My husband wants to win. He's not trying to put a team in a bad situation. If you're catching my drift, you're catching my drift. I will say that the trading away of Cooper, I have to be the dog in this situation, being like, I want the respect for him that he deserves. Yes, I love the city of LA. I love the city of LA. With that being said, I love an adventure.
And if Cooper Kupp's legitimately on the trade block, like the way that he is, who's to say that Stafford and Kupp wouldn't be a package deal? And obviously the Steelers have been linked to Cooper Kupp. And with Stafford, of these 3 names, Fields and Rodgers, he has proven most recently that he's still playing at an elite level. The only issue with Stafford is, what does it take to get him? It actually will probably cost you something to get him. And his contract is going to be higher than both Rodgers and Fields. So that's the trade-off with Stafford right there. And how many more years does he have left in the tank? Rodgers, probably less years left in the tank, but it's not going to really take anything for you to get him. I think contract will be cheaper, but more of a short-term approach compared to Stafford. Stafford, maybe you can get another 3 or 4 out of him. Fields, there's just uncertainty with him. It's going to be a cheaper contract. You're not going to have to give up any assets or picks to get him, and he's familiar with the system. Was here already, so that you have that dynamic, but there's more uncertainty with him if he could ever get to an Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford level at all. So that's kind of where we're at with it. I mean, there's pluses and minuses, there's trade-offs for each of these approaches, but I think these are the only approaches, in my opinion, that can get us elite quarterback play next year, which is why they should be the only options on the table for the Steelers. Whatever one they pick, I can sit back and say, I'm good with it. We made a decision. Let's go forward. But if we try to do something outside of these 3 options, like bring back Russ, go Kirk Cousins approach, sign Darnold, I don't know. I'm not going to be thrilled. I'm not going to be thrilled at all. But let me know your thoughts in regards to the latest quarterback news as it pertains to the Steelers. And also any thoughts about the Steelers maybe being closer than we think after watching last night's Super Bowl. But stay chilling. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Big Deke News. Peace.